Yeah, they are pretty much the same person, effectively.
Okay. So where were we with the whole first Civ conversation?
We'd mentioned that Lucy was dead.
So Lucy's dead
because of Juno.
You're in a coma,
Juno.
and this is how Revelation starts. You're in a coma, and so the best way to make you survive a coma is to throw you in the Animus. Obviously, no medical doctors. The Animus will save you.
It's not really a coma as such. You're in well, I guess it's more the shock.
I've also heard that, like herbal tea and incense helps.
Shut up.
Yeah, I believe that's less believable.
What the Animus?
Yeah, the Animus doesn't exist, and I'd rather trust myself with an Animus.
I liked Revelations in terms of exploring Desmond's backstory. It was one of the few times when I felt that I had a reason to be interested in Desmond, because he actually had some sort of history behind him. I still think he's a bit of a shadow character and a bit of a petulant child as well. But it was good to actually get some background on like his situation and at least some sort of insight into how he ended up where he was, even if the way he acts didn't necessarily reflect that.
I'd say the missions at the end where you play as you're Desmond inside the Animus and you're learning all of his backstory, I felt like that could have been done in a series of cutscenes. I didn't want to be running around that very blocky environment, creating triangular slopes and flat pathways to get round, corners, and then.
But it's gameplay as metaphor.
I get what they were doing. They were giving you something to do.
It's not even that. It's like he's exploring these memories as he's sort of rebuilding like the links in his brain because his brain's been damaged from whatever reason. So he's rebuilding it, and in the process of sort of trying to get back to the real world, he's sort of exploring all these memories and things. And I think it's a good mechanic for sort of explaining his history.
It's you overcoming psychological hurdles by having a physical challenge.
Yeah, it was clever.
Yeah, it's like his metaphor.
It was a clever metaphor. I get that. I didn't like it. It was annoying. There were certain bits would just not work how I wanted them to.
I found it kind of like something that was kind of like, it wasn't really all that difficult, so it was kind of like relaxing and something to do sort of with my hands whilst thinking about what it was telling me.
I'd rather just a cutscene.
But I think this way was better for like sort of taking that information, because they were delivering a lot of information through that sort of mechanism.
Mm.
So it's like with a cutscene, it's like it's not as memorable as sort of like associating what you were told with different sort of visual images in your mind.
Yeah,
and I think that kind of extends to the metaphor as well, in that the gameplay mechanics that you're using at the time are kind of linked to like all these different bits, and you're exploring different areas of his mind, sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay, so
I think that was quite clever in terms of the way they pulled that off.
So with the first Civ, at this point we've got Juno actually telling us about the solar flare that's going to happen and how it destroyed her civilization and how it's going to happen to us. Right? That's what we get from Revelations. And then so we've got now into Assassin's Creed 3, where we are in the cave where there is a door which has some force field that we've got to get through by putting in energy sources, which are why you've got the modern day missions where you're going around and collecting these energy sources that you've got to go and place in certain pedestals to unlock it. And obviously as you go around doing that, Juno appears and tells you more information, where we said before about the whole the barrier over the city that we think might be Eden. She's saying that they can have personal shields, but they haven't got the technology to put it over the whole planet.
Mm.
And then they're talking about how they use the apple to control people, and that under the right circumstances, the apple, that thoughts would actually become real. So if you wanted someone to imagine a tree would appear. So if they use the apple to make everyone believe that they would be safe from the solar flare, they would and then be safe from the solar flare.
So supposedly harnessing the power of their minds or whatever, kind of New Age bullshit.
But the problem they had was when they launched the apple into space, they couldn't direct it at the whole planet, and so that they couldn't make people do that.
Or they sent a monkey with it, and the monkey ate the apple.
The monkey ate the apple.
Although monkeys prefer bananas.
How well? Because I don't think they did it that well. What did Desmond do to actually save them? Because the whole point was he released you.
He had a choice.
His choice was to either let the solar flare kill the world, and then when he comes out,
he'd be Jesus.
Basically, they start the whole rebuilding the civilization.
But
and
the key part is they would be free.
They would be free, and it was he'd have to.
And the rumour is that this happened before. I think it implies that the humans escaping from that, what we termed it as the Garden of Eden, was the last time it happened.
Yeah, so he would have to put forward the message of this is what happened, this is how we can avoid it when it happens again, but what has happened is over time, the message gets changed, very Chinese whisper sort of way, which they show you with the letters saying, I can't remember exactly what it said, but the first half of the message remained, and the second, it was, hear my words, so you can be saved. But the second half of the message changed to being like, hear my words, or face my wrath, or something along those lines.
Yeah. It was like all these sort of like changes over time.
Yeah.
But it was quite interesting to see that the other choice, the one that Desmond took, was to let Juno try to sort of enslave humanity, and it's like
to save everyone.
It's to me that was kind of like. It was an interesting thing to think about because the whole time Desmond is supposedly an assassin and he's fighting for people's freedoms, yet he chose the option where he was unleashing someone who could control them, just like the Templars were trying to do. It's basically like he's still succeeding to control.
The Assassins and the Templars really want the same thing, but they call it something different and they want to go about it in a different way. Like, they both want peace, but what...
But the Templars believe that people can't keep their own peace or whatever.
Yes. So they want to create
whereas the Assassins believe they can.
They want to create peace by putting control over people. And this is
through control.
And this is where Connor sort of blurs the whole thing, where you can't believe he's an assassin because he's saying he wants peace, but he's manipulating a government and he's interfering. He's not making people free. He's killing people, which isn't working towards freedom.
I wouldn't necessarily say Connor was manipulating them. I don't think there was that level of
no, there's not that level of
intention. I don't think there was intention there, but
it's not premeditated. But
he wasn't aware of the consequences of his actions.
Yeah.
I think it goes back to the mission when you're working with Haytham, and he says a lot to Connor there about what we're talking about now, how they
this is where I'm getting
Templars
from.
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, obviously you're playing as Desmond, playing as Connor, and it effectively the conversation that Connor's having with Haytham is Desmond having that conversation with Haytham. So it's being told to Desmond. I think that's what sways Desmond in the end to realise that true peace can't be bought through freedom. It has to be through enslavement.
But the bit I'm not getting is Desmond opens that sphere to let her out. Why does she now have the power to save them all? And why does he die? What killed him?
What they're saying, I mean, who does he let out?
Juno.
I forget which one it is. Juno. Minerva comes back towards the end and says, "Don't let her out.
Yeah.
We locked her up when we were originally trying to find the cure because she has the power to do it, but they didn't want to do it." Yeah, she was basically their Templar.
Yeah.
To say the ones that came before were assassins, and she was their one Templar.
Yeah.
She wanted to do it a different way, and she had the power to do it, but they didn't want that, so they locked her up in that cavern there. And I think what happens is Desmond obviously touches the apple, and she absorbs his life force, or uses his energy and his life to pull herself out of that trap and allow herself to go into the world and unleash her plan.
Yeah.
Or an eye for an eye.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because effectively she died.
Yeah.
And she is just stuck in this computer system.
Okay, so we've kind of covered that up all the way. Should we talk about number 4?
Let's talk about number 4.
Come on,
I think we need something a bit more uplifting now after that.
Yeah. Okay.
I had a...
Sorry,
go on.
One last kind of thought then on Assassin's Creed. I thought the ending was bollocks, quite frankly. although it was kind of like interesting to talk about, but it's like it felt so rushed, and it's like it felt like such a letdown. Being played through 5 games building up to this moment, and it was just kind of like a B movie plot when it came to the actual ending. Yeah, it was just kind of like, so I've been working my way all the way towards this, expecting something sort of great or whatever, and it basically just turns out to be some kind of like B-movie rendition of a stupid conspiracy theory, and that really quite fucked me off, actually.
I think when it all ended, the word I had was just, oh. It wasn't a, oh wow, or Jesus Christ, it was just an, oh.
Unless it was Jesus Christ, that was bad.
So there's a point in the game where it's just after you've rescued William from Vidic after killing him, which I don't think we didn't mention that before, how graphic that scene was, where you walk in with the apple, you make the security guard shoot Vidic, and then all the security guards kill themselves. That was really graphic, that scene.
And I was actually quite shocked by that scene.
I was. Dominic walked out of the room just before it happened. I was like, thank you, because that was a bit traumatizing, even for me. But yeah, so after that, when you go and talk to William, he says that about Abstergo looking for the ability to take memories from people so they don't actually need the person in the Animus to do it. Now, that leads directly into the 4th game. Because the way that works...
It sounds like they took Desmond's memories when they had him captive.
Yeah. So the way that it works is... well, I didn't actually get to experience this, and Adam didn't either, but after you go back into the game, after the credits in number 3, someone controls Connor. But it's not Desmond, because Desmond's dead.
Yeah. I played that part a little bit. Basically, what happens is you go in and it puts these points on the map called pivots or something. So you're apparently synchronizing like the memories or whatever for someone else. I didn't actually bother doing that synchronization part, but I read about what happens afterwards. But basically, it's just like sort of synchronizing up the memories for someone else to explore them rather than just Desmond, because Desmond's, well, dead.
Mm-hmm.
Desmond.
Possibly. We don't know for sure that
he
he's
is
dead.
dead.
I mean,
well, they've said
probable,
that he's not really going to be in.
They said it's the end
so
of his trilogy, so you won't be playing as him.
I hope,
but yeah, I think...
as harsh as it is, I hope he's gone.
But the point I was trying to get at before with the whole, I said about how when you're in the Animus you've got the overlay, but in the real world you don't. It's
yes.
Trying to remember with the whole, if you at the end of all the games you go back into the Animus so that you can do all the side missions you didn't do, get the achievements and whatnot. One of them was while we're travelling in this van, why don't you go into the Animus so that you can carry on with your skills, Desmond. That's the way that the story tells the fact that you can still play the game afterwards. It gets around the replay value, or you're in a coma, so we'll put you in the Animus and you can keep on playing the game so you can get all your achievements and whatnot. It doesn't make sense this time because you're dead. Why would you go back into the Animus? The way that around it is, as you're saying, someone else is playing.
Yeah, the way, because from what I've read, it'll be Animuses from Abstergo Entertainment.
Yeah, which, if you play the multiplayer, that is what you're doing. The multiplayer of Assassin's Creed 3 is a game from Abstergo Entertainment. It's crap,
exactly.
Don't play it.
It's not that bad, but anyway, moving on from however bad that is, I mean, it probably matches up to the rest of the game. The fact is, so basically what they're saying is they have Desmond's DNA, they've implanted it into these Animuses so that other people can play through his memories. So in the next game you'll be playing as effectively yourself.
Yeah, the way I see it to work is...
but as a Templar.
Well, no, the way that they've made it sound is you are playing as a research analyst in Abstergo, and it's not that you're playing as a Templar, you're playing as you, and it's very much going to be you make your choices. It's going to be as...
Actually, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Sorry, do you mind if I say a bit?
I was just going to say one little thing here.
Yeah,
it's that they're going to make it be you so much that it's wherever you... From what I read, it's going to make it sound like wherever your character's name would be in the game, it will be replaced by your gamer tag. So say you're sitting in a cubicle, the nameplate on your cubicle, for me, would be Spyroism.
That'd be cool.
So the whole point is it's you. You make your choices. You're not a Templar. You're not an assassin. You choose.
So that's kind of like made me think of a couple of things. One is that maybe they're using these sort of memories, so Templar agents get an insight into how assassins are trained, but also to like train their own people to have the same sort of skill set as assassins.
Bleeding effect.
Well, that is it.
Yeah, bleeding effect.
That is it.
That's one thing, but there is the other bit as well that I just want to touch on before I ask you guys for your thoughts on this. Is what do they give you as, I should say, more flexibility? So it's like you're playing as someone, and you work for the Templars, but you just know that you work for Abstergo, and you're being trained.
Kind of cut off there.
Have we lost him?
I think we have. We'll wait till he comes back. But
Inside.
Oh, he is.
Anyway, over to you guys for that.
We didn't actually hear a word of what you just said, so you might want to say it again.
Oh,
cut off.
Damn it. Which bit did you hear last?
Just say the whole point.
Okay. So the second point was basically that, basing on the idea of being like a Templar agent or whatever in training.
Yeah.
And then it lets you make your own choices, and it's like, because you're training as an assassin, you kind of learn from learn their skills, but also learn a bit about the assassins and what they're trying to achieve, and then perhaps realize that Abstergo are Templars, and then sort of rebel against them, perhaps from the inside sort of thing. So it's like they sort of train you up to fight against the assassins that are left over in this sort of brave new world, or whatever you want to call it. But at the same time, it's kind of like, maybe that's how someone sort of becomes an assassin who was supposedly a Templar or whatever. Maybe that's how they lead back into sort of the assassin side.
Maybe. Yeah, what I'm wondering as well is, and obviously you got the bleeding effect, maybe that would cause them to become an assassin, because basically you're having an assassin's abilities and whatever bleeding into yours, so maybe you become an assassin that way. Maybe it fuses your DNA with Desmond's because it's in the thing and in the Animus. Maybe it could be that. But the multiplayer from the first game that had multiplayer basically touted it as, this multiplayer is you're playing as a guy in Abstergo. Abstergo's put you in this because they want to train you up to be as good as an assassin. That's what it is. They're using the bleeding effect to make you like an assassin.
So maybe this is going like that one step further.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the other thing I'm wondering is, have they actually told us when or what time in the future this is taking place?
Directly afterwards. It is exact.
Directly after.
As soon as Desmond dies, that's it. You are now in there playing it as that. It's basically what I think they're doing is, do you remember our theory about when Desmond was in the coma, about how maybe this in real life we're actually 100 years down the line and we're playing as an ancestor, sorry, not an ancestor, but someone later in Desmond's lineage who is in the Animus reliving Desmond, while Desmond is reliving Altair, reliving Ezio. It's basically,
you've been watching Inception recently.
It's from what I can tell, it's basically that idea. We weren't playing as Desmond. We were playing as ourselves, as we were anyway. We were playing the game, playing Desmond, reliving whatever he was doing. But that's what the next game is going to be. It's us playing as ourselves who have just been reliving Desmond, who was reliving. That's where the premise is coming in. It's very Inception, but that's what I think it's going to be.
So when Assassin's Creed 100 comes out in 96 years' time,
it's going to be someone playing us, who's playing Desmond.
That's what I was getting at.
But I mean, so should we talk about about the actual assassin part of the game? The actual.
Why not?
Golden Age. Was it the Golden Age of Piracy? Is what it is.
They missed out the assassin part of the last game.
Yeah.
So they're still good assassin.
Maybe they'll make up for it with some assassinating in this one.
Yeah, this game is.
I'm worried.
About what?
This game.
Well, let me tell you some facts, and we'll see if you will not be worried anymore. This game is going to be set in 3 main cities, which is Havana, Kingston, and Nassau, which will reside under Spanish, English, or pirate influences, respectively. There's going to be 50 locations to explore, and the map will be 60-40 land, water. That will be the balance.
Okay, I'm not so worried. I was worried that it was going to be heavily boat influenced.
It's going to be more land than water, but there is going to be a lot of ship battles and travel going on.
Yeah.
You get to play as what was him? Edward Kenway, a British pirate and member of the Assassin's Order, father of Haytham and grandfather of Con.
Dun, 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 dun.
So other characters that are going to be in it is going to be Blackbeard, Benjamin Horngold, Anne Bonn, Calcio Jack, and Charles Vance, who are other well-known pirates who we, other people we can relate to because we know who they are.
Yeah, we learned about them when we were kids, or Blackbeard at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I was mainly worried about is if you're on a boat a lot, it's not very Assassin-y. But having a look at the trailer...
It's not a boat, it's a ship, and it's called Jackdraw, is the name of the ship.
It's not a ship, it's
Jackdraw.
a ship.
It might... Well, we don't know. It could be a ship.
It is a ship. It's a ship called Jackdraw, and it's going to be upgradable throughout the game.
So I'm not too bothered about sort of the boaty side of things.
There's going to be an underwater component as well.
I was kind of skeptical about that one as well. But from what I've heard so far, I'm a bit more positive about it than I am about Assassin's Creed 3. It does look better, and judging by what they've said so far about Edward Kenway,
Yeah.
He sounds like a far more interesting character than
He can dual wield swords from the trailer. It was brilliant. I can't wait.
I like how that's kind of like the more interesting. I was going more for that they were going for sort of charismatic and developing him
dual wield
like
swords.
they have with Ezio.
I mean, the trailer is effectively Blackbeard describing him, and if his character is done anywhere near as well as Blackbeard's description is done, then, yeah, we've got a good character on our hands.
I saw a great tweet from Andy Farrant, which was taking the piss out of it, which goes, "Hello, I am Blackbeard. Gather round, crew, and let me tell you at length about a pirate who's far better than me," which is basically what this trailer was about.
Maybe he fears this pirate because he's that much awesomer than him.
It is the idea that they're trying to get at, but...
Well, he is an assassin, so he is supposed to be sort of feared and respected.
But yeah, so...
Winning there.
This game has been announced to... When's it going to release? It's October, isn't it?
Yarr.
Yeah.
End of October. Did you make a pirate joke?
I'm really sorry.
I've got to say, I've been doing really well not to say this, but do you reckon they're going to replace the Pieces of 8 with Pieces of Eden?
Wow. It's going to be...
I had that thought suddenly. I was like, I've got to say it at some point.
Do you want to press the hang up button now?
Yeah.
Pieces of 8 then.
So yeah, it's coming out on current gen and next gen. It will be out on the PS3, the PS4, the 360, the Wii U, and Windows. We assume it will also be out on the 720, if that's what we're calling it.
I'm pretty sure it's actually been announced as the next generation Xbox console as well.
I'm kind of a bit concerned about that.
Sorry, 29th of October for US, and for the rest of the world will be 1st of November. But that's the announcement for Windows, PlayStation 3, Xbox, and Wii U. The PlayStation 4 announcement hasn't been made yet.
I'm kind of like... I'm not sure how well it'll be done. There is reasons behind me thinking this. It's like, that's a lot of platforms to target, and there's quite a lot of difference between the various platforms.
Oh, it's fine. They'll make it for the 720, and then they'll port it to the 360, badly port it. It'll be like playing a PlayStation 3 game.
Whoa!
That's kind of like, that's basically my worry, is that in the Assassin's Creed series, for example, so far, the PC has always been the second-class citizen of the Assassin's Creed series. It's always been the last one to get the games, and they've always been, quite shitty ports, really. And I can kind of see them doing that for the current-gen consoles.
I think there's more... They've said they've been working on it for a while, so I think there's more chance...
Year.
Yeah,
I mean, there's more chance they've been developing it for the current consoles, and that it would just be ported to the newer consoles.
I don't
kind of, but I'm kind of like I think they would sort of develop it more with the aim of the next ones, because sort of to even get to this point, the big manufacturers and by extension the game developers would already have an idea of what the next console is going to be like anyway, a long time before. So it's kind of like, I think they'd be targeting those, and I kind of suspect that the current Gen 1s might be treated a bit like PC has been historically, in terms of it being, sort of just to make the money off it, sort of thing.
You'd make the game for the newer
but
console. You wouldn't
At
make
the
it
same
for the older
time,
one.
well, yeah, but at
I
the same
feel like
time,
it
I
would be
wouldn't buy
harder.
a new next-gen console just for Assassin's Creed 4, especially not after 3.
I kind of feel like it would probably be harder to port from the newest stuff to the older than from the older to the newer. So for this, if they're going to release it on all platforms, I feel like there's more chance they're going to do it on the older system for now.
I don't know, because it's kind of like downscaling versus upscaling, and it's like it's easier to downscale generally than it is to upscale.
So one thing I want to point out with the whole naming thing, this is the first numbered title of Assassin's Creed to carry a subtitle. It's Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Now, what they're saying is this is to very much distinguish it from every other game. It's going to be a pirating themed, and they don't want it to reflect upon the franchise. It may not feel like the Assassin's Creed game, but it will be very different to number 3.
Well, then
that
they kind
my
of failed
thoughts
with
are
naming
crushed.
number 3. Because that wasn't very Assassin's Creedy.
No, but it's like, if it's not going to feel very Assassin's Creedy, then why the fuck is it called Assassin's Creed?
Okay, can we stop saying Creedy, because all I can think of is black bags. Is Assassin's Creedy 4 Creedy's black bags.
Good film.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's not really much more we can say
No, we
about
should probably wrap this up.
Assassin's
We've
Creed
been
4,
going
so-
for 2 hours, 40 minutes.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
the future of Assassin's Creed. I mean, obviously, if it's not going to be very much like an Assassin's Creed game, maybe the future is not with Assassin's Creed in Assassin's Creed games.
No, because it's not very assassiny as in we're relating it to number 2, the game that we loved.
we're relating it to an Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
specifically number 2.
Yeah.
You know, the Assassin's Creed, they're talking more about the actual creed. It's an Assassin's Creed. That's the thing that we're meant to be taking from it, that the assassins have got the same ideals and beliefs, not Connor. And that's the thing that we're meant to be relating to, not the fact that we can run from one side of a town to another all on rooftop. That's what I liked, and that's what I've been saying this whole time. But that's
did
not
3
what we
really
need to focus on.
reflect that?
Yeah.
I don't.
I
think
say
it did.
It did.
your point there, John, is perfect.
It
Yeah.
did from Achilles'
Assassin's-
point of view. If we look at him as being the master assassin that he was, his creed was still there. Connor's creed was not there. If we don't take the fact that Connor was a true assassin yet, maybe afterwards, because Connor was still quite young, they refer to him as being a boy. He hasn't got to a point in his development where he can accept the creed and live his life by it, because he was too busy, his life being ruled by revenge and such. So maybe the creed is there, but later on in his life.
But so
Well, he's
basically, so you're
significant-
saying that the creed is there, but not in that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
He's significantly older at the end of the game, and I'm pretty sure assassins don't sort of take drugs and like mind-altering drugs, and he's about to do that at a significant age in his life. 'Cause
Assassins-
he's going to get superpowers.
Native Americans, they smoked the peace pipe.
Yeah, he's smoking more than the peace pipe.
Maybe it was all a dream.
So
I swear to God, if that I'm going to read spoilers when it's over, and if they turn around and say, yeah, by the way, at the end of this DLC that you just paid money for, it's a dream. I don't think I'll ever be able to trust an Assassin's Creed game
it's
again.
canon, because in the storyline, he did have a dream at that point.
well, speaking of Assassin's Creed, you mentioned Tomb Raider earlier.
No, he didn't.
I did.
How is that if you class it as an Assassin's Creed game?
It's it's closer, the climbing wise. I mean, the climbing I've done so far was a lot more like Assassin's Creed than Assassin's Creed 3, if I'm honest. And I've only done a little bit. It was the hopping from side to side. It felt like I was playing Ezio again, but with bigger boobs.
So basically, what we could possibly be saying is, depending on how the rest of the game goes, if you want to keep playing Assassin's Creed, play Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
So,
And it's Tomb Raider and Assassin's Creed aren't that different in a lot of aspects, I guess.
so as a summing up,
Well, I suppose that Connor is a bit of a tit.
Well, hey, like
in a sort of summing up, the way that we're looking at it, of the 3 games, if we're to take number 2 as being those 3 games themselves, number 2 was the best game, right?
by a long run. If we're including all three together,
Yeah.
then by a long run.
If you wanted to break
it's
it
much
down, I'd say it's between Brotherhood and 2, obviously.
I'd still go with 2.
2, yeah.
2.
So 2, Brotherhood,
Revelations 1.
3.
I think we should treat 3 a bit like Die Hard 4. Let's just pretend that it doesn't exist in the same universe.
Well, I don't know. Maybe after playing number 4, which is a prequel to 3, yeah, let's forget this numbering system. Maybe we'll have a better understanding of 3.
Do you think they recruited George Lucas for the numbering?
No, they did it just so they could rape the storyline.
And the prophets.
Yeah. But yeah, maybe with this prequel we'll have a better understanding of what's going on. And our idea of the fact that maybe Achilles is in it and he was trained by Edward, I think that'd be pretty cool.
That'd be awesome.
And maybe they'll explain why Haytham defected. I mean, they're going to have to. So
maybe it's a case of Haytham and Achilles grew up together, because it can't be too far off age-wise.
Yeah. So, well, no, Achilles is a generation above. He'd be the same generation as Edward, I would have thought.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
He'd be younger than Edward, I reckon. But yeah, well, time will tell.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got October.
So that's a good place to end it, I would have thought.
I think so.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, and obviously, if you've been listening for all this time, well done for staying on for this.
And thank you very much.
Leave your thoughts and comments in the box below, whether you're here on YouTube, here on our site, or even on Tumblr. You know, leave your comments. We want to hear what's going on. What do you people think?
We want to know if you think we're completely off our nut, or if you think we're spot on.
So, thanks for listening.